Welcome to the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Today we're looking at a paper from the Hugging Face trending list, published on March 4th, 2026, just 2 days ago. It introduces the first zero-shot framework to synthesize physically plausible human-object interactions involving complex moving parts, like opening a fridge or a cabinet. By relying entirely on monocular video priors, rather than complex 3D supervision, the method achieves about 76% contact accuracy and reduces physical penetration almost to zero. The paper is titled ArtHOI, Articulated Human-Object Interaction Synthesis by 4D Reconstruction from Video Priors. And, as we will see later, the resulting 4D scenes are really impressive and highly consistent. And for those interested in the implementation, the authors have shared their code on GitHub. Figure 1 illustrates the broad scope of this new approach across a full indoor scene. Here, multiple complex actions, like opening a fridge or gently closing a laptop, are reconstructed simultaneously. The corner panels compare this method to earlier works like Truman's and Zero-HSI, while previous models struggled to combine realistic rendering with zero-shot generalization, which means handling new scenarios without explicit training examples. This framework achieves all 4 key capabilities at once. It successfully handles rendering, articulated object modeling, physical constraints, and zero-shot generation without needing direct 3D supervision. Well, Table 1 breaks down exactly how this proposed approach compares to prior work. The columns track key capabilities, which include human-object interaction, RGB rendering, handling articulated objects, physical constraints, and zero-shot generalization. Notice how earlier zero-shot models, like GenSci, InterDreamer, and Zero-HSI, lack the ability to model articulated objects or enforce physical constraints. The proposed method stands alone at the bottom right, uniquely combining all these features to generate realistic, physically grounded interactions without specialized training. With Table 1 outlining the capabilities, Figure 2 details the complete pipeline for ArtHOI. The process begins on the left, where the system generates a monocular video prior from initial 3D assets. Moving to the middle section, the framework performs flow-based part segmentation, which relies on dense point tracking to distinguish moving parts from a stationary frame. Finally, the right side displays the decoupled 2-stage reconstruction. Stage 1 reconstructs the object's articulation to build a solid geometric scaffold. This scaffold allows Stage 2 to accurately refine the human motion around it, ensuring realistic physical contact. Alright, Figure 3 highlights 3 key mechanisms that make this single-camera supervision work. The left panel illustrates back projection, a technique that casts flat video masks into 3D space to identify exactly which parts are moving. The middle panel introduces quasi-static point pairs. These pairs act as anchor points around structural hinges, regions that barely move, to keep the dynamic pieces stably attached to the main body. Finally, the right panel shows the human object contact loss. Because the model lacks multiple camera angles, this step uses the object's depth to map 2D hand positions into precise 3D contact points, which ensures the human interacts naturally with the environment. Okay, Figure 3 explains the pipeline's mechanisms, and Figure 4 visualizes the final results. Baseline models struggle here because they treat the objects as entirely rigid. For instance, in the top left panel, these older methods incorrectly tip the whole fridge backward. Similarly, in the bottom left panel, they lift the entire microwave. In contrast, the proposed method in the bottom rows successfully models partwise articulation, which means it realistically opens just the doors or screens while keeping the main bodies stationary. So, Figure 4 just showed the visual improvements, and Table 2 backs this up with quantitative metrics. The bottom row highlights the proposed method, which achieves the best semantic alignment with text prompts, reaching an X-clip score of 0.24. It also hits a top contact accuracy of about 76%, while dropping physical penetration errors to just 0.08. While non-zero-shot methods, like Lingo, report better smoothness, their motion only appears stable because they barely touch the objects. Instead, this new approach maintains strong smoothness, despite handling highly complex physical interactions. Wrapping up, 2 takeaways stand out. Treating 2D video as a scaffold for 4D reconstruction effectively resolves visual ambiguity, and decoupling human and object kinematics ensures physically grounded results. This finally pushes zero-shot synthesis beyond simple rigid objects. That's it for this episode of the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Thanks for listening.